Hello everyone, Coach Crimson here. I'm going to be going over a map guide for Kings Canyon here. Um, just a caveat, I'm still learning Kings Canyon myself. I'm not the best at this map, but I will be using what I've learned for the other maps kind of to apply to this one. I will be making an in-depth guide for the other ones because I know them better, but I will be just highlighting some key factors that I use when I evaluate this map. Also, this is a kind of a summary of some of the things you want to know for maps. I won't be going in depth on any key points here. Perhaps for some future videos, I will be going in depth on like exact gameplay aspects such as like rotations, how to take fights. But generally, this is going to be like an overview, so I'm not going to be spending like an insane amount of time on some of these things here. And hey, if you're in the chat here today, please drop some comments, questions, or anything, and we're gonna get to the video here. So first of all, here I have a map. This is kind of a loot tier map, and you'll be seeing here what kind of loot rarity on some of the POIs are. And with the first thing you want to evaluate is a game plan. When you're playing on any of these maps, you want to know how the game flows on that map and what rank you are. So if you're gold or below, you're going to be focusing on just getting kills, and placement's not too much because the cost is only -24. But if you're plat or diamond or higher, your game plan has to be a little more concrete. So here's kind of like the ranked um, point system here. So if you're in plat or diamond, you're going to be -36 or like 48. So what does that mean for you as the player? Well, it means you're going to need to take a nice fight here early, and then you're going to want to avoid some mid-game team fights unless you have to fight them or they're easy KP. And then end game, you want to get a good position. One thing to note is, especially in this part of the season, the early teams in the map, like the early game, they're probably going to be very bad. But then once you get to mid game and end game, you're going to be in the game with players that are probably ex-masters, ex-pred. So you definitely want to dial back your fights towards the end game. But early game, you feel free to fight people. So here, what I like to do on this map, because third parties are very common, I like to land on the edge POIs. Um, like Rig has been one of my favorites, Caustic, depending on the flight map, um, Cryptos, Rat Map Room. Hydra's not too bad, I've never really been there too much. Swamps is also pretty good, but is the middle of nowhere. I think Gauntlet's not too bad either. Spotted Lake can be really good depending on the flight path. But the reason why I do edge POIs is because you can take fights with people and you won't get third party as much. You will get third party, but not nearly as much, right? And then the flow of the map is you land on the edge and then you rotate towards the middle depending on the zone here. Right? And an example here, Rig is really nice because one, it's not too busy, but you're also near hot drops, right? Hot drops such as Capacitor. Sometimes this area gets pretty hot. I know Cage gets really hot as well. Again, I'm still learning like the hot, like really insane hot spots. I think containment gets pretty crazy here. But a strategy that you can do is if you know a hot drop, you identify a hot drop such as like here, labs, cage, even crypto. I know it says water treatment because it's an old one, but if you identify a hot drop and you don't want to land there but you want to get kills, you can always, oh, this is old map, don't ignore that. You can always land near the POI. So sometimes when the flight path is like right here, you have a lot of teams drop into Caustic. And let's say you're like me, you want to get kills but you don't want to 50-50 drop and die. I land near the hot drop. So I land like here Verdance Crossing, which is one of my favorites, and I've been trying Map Room, and you go straight to the hot drop. And this can be applied to any spot on the POI. So if you want to, let's say the flight path's here, everyone's dropping crash site, drop on the edges here, or maybe even like here, drop near the POI and third party of that. Same thing with Rig. I've been on flight paths where it's like this. I've landed here, and there's I'm a Valkyrie main, so there's a drop tower, and you can drop on the high ground on this right here. This building is insane high ground. So always keep in mind if you want to fight early but you don't want to land on the hot drop, just land near the hot drop. So anyways, I'm gonna just take into account here my favorite drops for this map. So again, it's Rig, in Caustic. So for Caustic, I always like to go Caustic when it's like dropships like this or like this. That way it's not over it and you have to fly there. And then for Caustic, I always drop in the back here. Rig I'm still learning, but I think I'm seeing that this area of the map, like the middle's not too bad. These two areas, like this building and this building, are really nice. Middle is really awkward. I've seen people go there, but they get kind of stuck. But you do have sight over the whole area, and you don't get the best loot. So I think maybe one person going here is good, and then your teammates going here is also good. So if you drop in one of these areas, what do? Well, one, you want to make sure you don't die. So get your loot really quickly. Get a gun that you can fight with, and kill the team, and then rotate. So we're gonna rotate too. So if you're in rig, sometimes the circle's over here, over here. I rotate through broken that way, or capacitor. Sometimes I go straight to capacitor because there's gonna be a lot of teams there. But the first thing I actually like to do, sorry, I skipped the ball there. Crafting. If you land in a spot in this crafting, craft. But if not, I go straight to crafting to get bats because you want to make sure for the next fight you're prepared. So identify where the crafting stations are. So rig sometimes spawns a crafting station. Sometimes it's here. Sometimes one in swamps. Sometimes one in hydro capacitor. But that's usually what I do is I get extra meds from the first fight. So I get 8 syringes, 1 or 2 medkits, and I rotate to one of those spots. And while you're rotating, you want to keep an eye on third parties. And while you're rotating as well, you want to make sure you have backup spots to go. So let's say you're trying to rotate to broken, but there's a whole bunch of teams there and you don't want to fight. Well, you're going to go to broken. Broken's going to be your backup rotation spot. Or you're going to go to swamps. So whenever you're rotating in general, you just want to have a spot you can get to because you can get third partied, you can get upon a not favorable situation. And same thing with Valcult. If you're ever Valculting to a place, when you mark on the map, you want to make sure you have a backup spot to go to. So let's talk about Caustic. Where would you rotate? Usually I just rotate, there, depending on the circle. So circle's here, you rotate towards circle. If it's over here, rotate there. I'm not sure if you noticed the pattern, but I like to stay on the edges, right? We're still rotating, we're staying on the edge of the map. I don't ever rotate directly towards cage because this area is really hot. If you do want to go there, which is fine, I do that sometimes, stay in key positions, such as chokes right here. Same thing with capacitor, like keep the high ground, keep the chokes, because chokes are really hard for teams to punish you. Hey, good morning. Did you get your shiny badge yet? But yeah, chokes are really important to play on this map because you can see a lot of stuff in the chokes. Like you can just see a lot of things. You can get out quickly. So that's really important. On this side, I haven't really talked about this side of the map. So this side of the map is really good too when you rotate, but it's really hot. Like I've noticed this side of the map is a lot more busier than, say, like this side, with the exception of being cage. But whenever I rotate here, I always like to hold good buildings. Like we hold salvage a lot. I hold this building sometimes. And one thing about Kings Canyon you must know when you're playing is you want to always stay on the move in this map until end game, because teams will come up and third party you, which is why when I play on the rig side of the map, it's really natural to rotate towards the middle because you're clearing the backside. Like no one's going to be here. People rarely land swamps, so naturally as you rotate, you're clearing these areas really well, and it's really hard for people to get you in the back because it's very rare for people to land in the middle and then come through this way. So this is why I enjoy rig a lot. Same thing with crash site. If you land crash site and clear it, unless the circle's on you, it's very rare for people to rotate out and then come back in. That's the problem with Caustic though. Caustic is the opposite. People will rotate here no matter what sometimes, even if it's not in the circle for those gold guns. So when you're rotating, it's always good to check your back here. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the rotations. I mean, just basically rotate towards the map. Your first goal is going to be crafting station. Second goal is to be third party. When you're third partying people though, be very, very careful. Because when you third party, let's say there's 2 teams fighting here. Come up through here. This team's the one that's getting, let's say this team's the one getting, like this team right here, is the one that's losing. If you third party this team who's winning, this team gets a full reset on heals. This team will look at you, and this team can also perhaps look at you. And that's actually a really bad example because they're like in a straight line. Let's make it a little more different. Let's say it's like here and here. Sorry. And then if you rotate and kill this team on the left could reset, and they can also look at you as you're walking up. I'm sorry, it's really bad. Picture there. But basically the problem is when you're third party, just make sure you're doing it the right way where both teams are really down, or do it when one dies. And then when you're third partying too, other teams are gonna hear you and come to you because it's Kings Canyon. So just make sure if you do fight here, it's gonna be very quick, or at least you have a really nice position that they can't get to you easily. Let's talk about key positions here too as well. A really popular spot people like to go is North Tower, and this. Just be very careful when you hold these spots. Like, these are really common spots to hold because these towers can see the whole map. People will come up behind you and kill you. So, like, a good thing on this map is to hold good positions that aren't commonly held. So, like, one position near here that's really good is this choke. People rarely hold this choke, and if you have teammates on the high ground here and teammates high ground here, you can actually hold a good amount of area. Like, it's really hard to push you because you have a high ground, and you can really see a lot here. And not only is this good, but you can watch this whole area. The only problem with that is, you can get shot in the back here sometimes. But it's a lot better than here because the whole map will know you're here and you can get walked up on really easily. Same thing with Broken. These buildings are really good. There's a really good waterfall you can hold here. I'm not going to go over every spot on the map here, but basically there are really nice spots on this map you can hold that aren't really common. So, like, just buildings, and just avoid buildings. Try to go to chokes to hold them first, and good overlooking buildings. This KC is really crazy because there are a lot of open areas you want to avoid. So here, high desert, good buildings to hold, but if you're in this open area, it's really tough and you might just die. So like open areas like here, I think the salvage area like right here is really weird to play. Here is also really strange. Outside, like around here is really weird. Broken area in this middle. This area. But if you notice, all these areas I'm highlighting are in the middle. And this is just really tough to hold, so. Any tips I can give for this map? I will say res beacons are really, really scary in this map. Or red ship, because everyone sees a red ship, they go straight towards it. So what I've been doing sometimes is if I see a red ship, I hold near the area and I wait for another team to third party them. And I get free kills that way. But yeah, just don't be scared of the zone. Like, if you're on the edge, make sure you get your meds and rotate towards the middle. And basically how the game should flow is you land, you get an early fight, whether it's off drop or off a third party. Then you rotate towards the circle. Rotate towards the circle, and then once you get close to the circle, you need to hold a key position. So like if I've seen circles like right here, you're gonna hold somewhere in air base. Someone hold over there. I've seen circles like here, hold the high ground here. Basically, you just want to identify really good spots to hold, like buildings, and you want to just bunker down. Anyways, when you're playing in Diamond or on above, like your big goal is to take fast fights. The longer your fight goes on, the big chance of you're going to be third partied. So make sure when you're playing in this rank, and this goes for any rank, but it really is important in Diamond, to have quick fights. If you cannot finish a fight quickly, be very hesitant to take it. Which is why when you third party, it's very good to third party them when they finish, when they're finished the other team. Because if you're close enough to hear them finish, you'll hear a sound cue. You can go in and take them instantly, and that will be a quick fight because they're hurt, they're not ready for a third party, and you're gonna get a really good kills on them. But yeah, that's pretty much a general gist of the map guide for KC. I'm gonna go in depth with some of these things in future videos, but I just want to give you a quick highlight of what to expect. But basic summary is just land on the edge of the map, or around here, and then rotate in, get crafter, look for third parties, and then play for endgame circle. Perfect. If you have any questions, please let me know. That's going to be it for my video here, and look for a future video on more. And I didn't really say this in the video, but this is a very good tier map of what you're going to see in the map, so this can influence what where you drop. So perfect. I hope you guys like this content. Please let me know if you want more of this, and I hope to do some more videos with other maps and going in depth on some of the stuff I've talked about.